everyone. Semi-Retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Today, I'm just trying out this time slot for the live stream to see if perhaps there's enough interest. Because I got home from work last Friday night planning on doing a live stream, and I was just wiped out from being out in the heat for 4 hours. So that later time slot's probably not going to work. So hopefully I get a few people in here to talk to today. And I see some people here. Just a quick reminder, when I look off to the side here, I'm not actually ignoring you guys. I have a bigger screen over there so I can actually read the comments. So John is here. Good afternoon, Bob. I hope all is well with you. Everything is great with me. I hope everything's going okay with you too. It's been a good day. I got a lot going on here, and I got a few things to talk about today, but we'll get to that in just a minute after I say hello to everybody. As you're coming in, don't forget to hit the like button and say hello. And Marnia, did I say that right? I don't know. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Can't believe you were so overweight, Bob, and I would never believe it if it was not for the photo. Yes. It took a long time to get that big. I mean, that's 40 years of wrong information of doctors backed up by 10 years of finally just giving up and not caring because nothing I did worked. And, you know, you can only keep on starving yourself and trying to do the things they say for just so long before it gets the better of you and just say, the heck with it. And Rick is here, Charger Mopar. And yes, his bad diet is actually a healing diet for others. Yes, yes. For those of you that don't know Rick, who is Charger Mopar there, he is rapidly approaching his 40th year on the carnivore diet. Truly an amazing story. I'm hoping to get him on my channel for an interview at some point in the future. We shall see how that goes. John is here. Hello, John. Hey, we're up to 12. That's not bad. 12, 16. Wow, the number's climbing up. Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for being here today. Paleo Barbie is here. Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're here, Paleo Barbie. And John says, this time works for me. Cheryl says hello from Wisconsin. Hello to you too, Cheryl. I hope everything's going good up there in Wisconsin. Haven't really Drop Zone. Haven't really researched it yet, but do you know if protein poisoning is a real concern on carnivore? No. I know of no system in the body that protein is bad for. You'll hear a lot of, now remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a retired truck driver. Everything I say is from my own personal experience and what I have seen and read. I'm not a doctor. I don't offer medical advice. This is just my opinion. I have yet to see anything that's damaged by protein. You know, you'll hear a lot of people out there talking about how too much protein can damage your kidneys. That's absolutely false. Don't know where that rumor got started. Paul Mason has a couple good videos about that. Excuse me, Dr. Paul Mason has a couple good videos about that. I know Dr. Anthony Chafee has some. And, of course, Dr. Barry has some as well. So there is no such thing as protein poisoning. Now, if you are a habitual overeater like I am, you don't necessarily get protein poisoning because I don't believe that's a thing. If you end up eating too much protein, more than your body needs, then through gluconeogenesis, you can get a little bit of an insulin spike and maybe even some fat storage from it. But the way I understand it, that usually only happens if you are severely overeating protein and severely undereating fat. And the reality is it's really hard. As long as you're eating the muscle meat of large ruminant animals along with the associated fat, which means you're getting at least a 1-to-1 fat to ratio. My personal I feel best at 1.5 to 1. Some people get all the way to 2 to 1 fat to protein. It is extremely hard to overeat if you're getting the appropriate amount of fat, because fat is satiating. I hope that answers your question, Drop Zone. If not, go ahead and type in a follow-up question. Great to see you again too, Rick. I'm glad you're here. The sardine omelet, it was okay. It's not one of those things I'm going to rush right out to make again. In fact, I'll probably come up with something new to do with sardines next time. Because I'm not going to be able to bring myself to just eat the sardines out of the can. That's not going to happen. So I have to try to find new and inventive ways to cook them. And hopefully I find one that I actually like. We'll see how it goes. It was okay. Unlike a really good steak, where after I'm done eating the steak, about 10 or 15 minutes later, I don't realize I've eaten the steak. I mean, I'm still full, but I can't still taste the steak. I could taste those sardines for several hours. So I got to do something to cut the flavor down on those or something. And eggs are not it. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure I'll come up with something. Well, we're up to 21. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. John says, your story is an incredible inspiration. When I go off carnivore just to see what happens, I feel the difference and my weight does go up. I'm not happy that you're going off plan that you did that, but isn't it amazing how our bodies will talk to us right away to let us know that, hey, that wasn't exactly what you should be eating. Hillbilly howdy from wild, wonderful West Virginia. How are you today, Don? You know, I grew up in that area. I was just a stone's throw away. I grew up in extreme southeastern Ohio. Couldn't quite see the Ohio River from our house because there was a hill in the way, but I grew up in deep southeast Ohio. And I consider myself just as much from West Virginia without being from West Virginia. But hello to you. I'm glad you're having a great day. Tammy Holloway says, hello, Bob. And hello to you too, Tammy. I'm glad you're here. Rosalind Marks. Hi, Bob. Good Friday evening to you. Yes. I hope you're having a great day. It is 2:37 here in the afternoon in Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm guessing you're quite a bit east of me if it's Friday evening for you, but I hope you're having a great day. If protein poisoning was real, I would be dead. Meat is not high enough in protein to harm kidneys. Thanks for that insight, Rick. That's exactly what I thought, but you know me, I'm a retired truck driver, not a scientist. Sometimes I have a hard time coming up with the correct words to say there. And just Jason Keto is in the house. I'm glad you're here. Who else we got here? Don, usually if you get your protein from food, no problem. But there is that rare person who does protein shakes, synthetic stuff that may mess up. Real food is in the right proportion. Yeah, I have sort of heard of that. I don't follow much because I don't use protein shakes. I eat food. Food is good. I like food. I'm an old retired truck driver and a fat guy. I like food. Thanks for the reply. It was just noticing the bubbly urine. Read that might be a sign of kidneys being overworked. Probably need to up the fat content. There's a lot of things that could cause that. If you're recently started, that could just be a bunch of inappropriate inflammation getting flushed out of your system, and a few other things. Unless you're having other symptoms, I wouldn't worry about it. Now, if it keeps on for 45 to 90 days, you might want to go see your doctor. But as long as you're not having any other symptoms, because if your kidneys, if you're doing something that's damaging your kidneys, you'll feel it fairly quick, at least as far as I know. Sandra's here. Hello. Things are going good in Michigan. I'm glad. Oh, Gosh, we've got so many people in here right now. I love meat and also liver, so I'm 85% carnivore so far and hoping to be at 100% this month. Yep, just keep easing into it slowly. You know, I jumped right in with both feet and was standard American diet one day and then carnivore the next. I don't actually recommend that because, you know, unless you have 2-3 weeks and just hang around the house, not getting more than 5 or 6 steps from the bathroom, I don't recommend transitioning that way. But once you get there, I hope you see a lot of really good benefits from it. Bob, try the Seasons brand boneless, skinless sardines. Yeah, the only ones I can eat out of the can. I may. I searched around Amazon and found ones that did not have the warning label because, you know, the first case I ordered back when I was down south, they showed up with a warning label. It was probably just California being overly cautious, but I ended up not eating those. But these, I've had 3 cans of them now, and they're not terrible. And I still don't think I'm going to eat them right out of the can. And Rick says, eating sardines out of the can is easy for me. I love seafood. Lived in Key Largo for years and consumed fish, shrimp, crabs. People can moderate the fish taste with beef tallow. Maybe I'll try just heating them up in some beef tallow next time. Thanks, Rick. I like seafood too, but not that kind of seafood. You know, I like shrimp and scallops and certain kinds of fish, but I'm not super wild. I'm not super wild about sardines. Sardines, yeah, that does sound good. Absolutely. 1, 2 for vegetarian. Yeah, I've seen that. I've watched the first one. We'll see what happens. And John says, why not put sardines in your ground beef like you did with tuna? I may try that next. That may be the next thing I try. I don't itch fists, but I like sardines out of the can. Absolutely. Okay. Very quickly here, as you all know, I hit 5,000 subscribers. I meant to record it. I tried to record it. I don't know exactly how I managed to mess it up, but I certainly messed up the recording of it. There's my email address scrolling along the bottom of the screen. But the random comment picker brought up Tina the Cook. Tina the Cook, you have won a bottle of Keto Chow's Daily Minerals. So if you see this, send me an email with your contact information so that I can get that shipped out to you. Today is Friday. I'll give you till next week's live stream to contact me. And if I have not heard from Tina the Cook by then, I will draw a new winner. That's at SemiRetiredBob@yahoo.com. Send me an email with your information, and I will get that shipped out to you. Now, let's see where we're at here. Oh, we're back to new comments. Let's see where I was at. Oh, Craig is here. Hello, Craig. Bob, I heard that you were making sardine chaffles today. No, I'm not making sardine chaffles. You heard wrong. As I said, I don't know if you got it in the comment that I left for you, but you asked me a question, and I said that my business manager was in charge of that. My business manager is Helen Waite. So if you need to find out about sardine chaffles, you can go see her. I like the season one. Dr. Boz is eating those during her sardine fast. Yeah, that just sounds horrible to me, sardine fast. Hello, Kismet. How are you today? I am glad you're here. Before we get too far into this, I do need to say thank you to somebody. Jamie E. Jamie E., if you're watching this, let me show you what I got in the mail today. Most of you are probably not going to know what that is, but it's a pair of combiners so that I can take 2 solar panels and combine it into one output. It's for hooking multiple solar panels together. So I've gotten my first gift from Amazon. Thank you so much, Jamie. I appreciate that very much, and those will definitely come in handy this fall when I get down to Texas. And speaking of getting down to Texas, I've gotten a lot of emails and questions about, have you really thought about this, Bob? Are you really sure you want to move to the desert? You know, living off grid's not as easy as it sounds. Well, I've not only been looking at this for more than 10 years, even though I've been plugged in at church for the last 2 years, my little 5x10 cargo trailer is completely self-sufficient for off-grid living. I have solar panels, batteries, DC appliances, plus some propane cookers. I have everything I need. And on top of everything else, everything I know, I'm not just taking YouTube's advice for it. I have a book, Doable Off-Grid Homestead. And I have another one here that I really like this book. I'm glad somebody suggested it. I've actually had this book for quite some time. It's called Back to the Basics. It has a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of it is farming things, and I am planning on trying to grow some things when I get down there. But primarily, I'm planning on growing some things that chickens like to eat to lower my cost of chicken feed. And no, I'm not planning on building a chicken coop and having a bunch of egg layers. When I get down there, I'm going to attempt to raise meat chickens because because I don't want to get tied down to a chunk of land where I have to stay there all year round because I have a bunch of animals. But meat chickens, you can order the chicks, and they take depending on the breed, between 8 to 10 weeks to get to full size. And then you either butcher them yourself or send them off to be butchered. And now you have a freezer full of meat that you know exactly what it was fed. And that's really what I want to do with that chunk of land, besides having a warm place to go in the wintertime. Because I've been looking at, and of course I looked at it a lot before I bought the land. The average in the United States is 240 days a year of sunshine. The average for this area of West Texas is 309 days a year of sunshine. It averages between 12 and 14 inches of rain, which should be enough rain for after I've been there. I'll probably have to haul water a few times, but after I've been there through a rainy season, I should be able to fill up enough IBC totes to have water without having to haul it. But we'll see how that all goes. The first thing I'm going to build when I get down there is I'm planning on a big roof that basically like a 20 by 40 roof that's up in the air enough that I can park my truck and trailer under it, but also end up building a tiny house underneath of it. So the tiny house is built in the shade of that big roof, use the big roof for rainwater harvesting, and then build, as I go, build things like a tiny house and a workshop and other things underneath of that roof. So the reason I'm talking about all this is to reassure people that I have actually thought about this for quite some time. I have a plan, and now that I'm healthy enough to execute that plan, I believe it's going to go quite well. Of course, there's going to be hardships, but that's one of the reasons the chunk of land that I was most interested in was an additional 25 miles from town. So it was a nicer piece of land. It was up in the hills a little bit more, but that made getting into Van Horn about an hour to an hour and 15-minute proposition. This chunk of land, it's about 6 miles down to I-10 and another 25 miles on into Van Horn. So I should be able to do that in under an hour, even if the road is awful in my 4-wheel drive truck. So it won't take all day to go to town and back for supplies. And that's why I chose this land, besides it being quite a bit cheaper. It's the same 10 acres, it's just a little bit cheaper than the land up in the hills. But we shall see how that goes. And I, of course, will keep everybody updated as the time gets closer to all that. Now let's go back up here and see where I left off on the comments. I prefer ground beef or a ribeye fast. You're my kind of guy, John, and you know it. Addicted to Antlers is here. Hello, Antlers. I'm glad you're here. Do you have cowboy boots? No, I do not have cowboy boots. I have work boots, and I have hiking boots. I don't know if I'll get cowboy boots or not. Probably not, but we'll see. You never know. And John Boston thanking somebody for the tip. Charger Mopar says, my old motorhome is a 1972 school bus that I built almost 30 years ago. It's wood-powered and had solar, which has gone bad. Yeah. And that's one of the things that people don't realize. Solar panels do go bad after a time. Now, the new modern technology, they should last 15 to 20 years unless something hits them and damages them. But they're enough cheaper now that, it used to be a 100-watt solar panel would cost you $300 or $400. Now, $300 or $400, if you buy from the right companies, will get you between 500 and 800 watts of solar. They're really not very expensive anymore. But yeah, I understand an old 70. I'd love to have an old school bus to convert, but problem is the only school buses you can find now. It's really hard to find one of the old ones that has hydraulic brakes. And I would have to have one that has hydraulic brakes because I cannot get a DOT medical card, and you have to have one to operate a vehicle with air brakes, even if it's your own private vehicle. Hi, Bob. I was impressed. Oh, this is Judy. Your triple bypass. My husband had one in February. I'm amazed at how well he's doing, probably because I'm making him eat mostly carnivore. Absolutely. If I had known about the carnivore diet right after I got out of the hospital, my chest might have healed better and I might not be retired from truck driving. But because my sternum never formed up properly, I have one section at the bottom, the coccyx, that's turned on its side and sticking out of my chest. And I can feel the different bumps and things where it just it was not solid. It's solid now that I've been on carnivore for more than a year. When I pick up something heavier than I had been picking up, back in the day, if I tried to lift 8 or 10 pounds, it just felt like my chest was going to explode. And now I'm working out with heavier weights than that. So carnivore has certainly healed the bone section as well. Along other things, we'll talk about the Swole products here in a little bit as well. History. Bob threw the advice away and started running his own life. Absolutely. Yes, I did. Thank you very much, Kismet. Drop Zone. Does anyone else bake their steaks in the oven? I love them that way now and rarely use the grill anymore. I don't normally bake steaks, but I don't have steaks very often. After having the sardines 2 days ago and my second loaf of carnivore bread yesterday, I made a roast. The bread was 2 days ago. Yeah, 3 days ago for the sardines, 2 days ago for the bread. Yesterday was, I made a roast. It was almost a full 3 pounds of roast. And because I hadn't gotten it out to thaw, I put it in the oven wrapped in aluminum foil for 3.5 hours on 275. It came out perfect. It was tender. It was wonderful. I loved it. So I bake roasts in the oven a lot, but I haven't ever actually tried doing a steak that way, Drop Zone. Addicted to antlers. You'll need a source of water for your sheep and chickens. Maybe we need to have May need to have a well drilled for feeding your livestock. Also, you keep them penned, keep the coyotes. Yeah, I'm going to start off with just meat chickens, and they can be fenced in very easily. And like I said, I'm going to build that big rain harvesting roof. I may have to get some water hauled in for a while, but knowing how many square feet it takes to accumulate so much water in a rainstorm, once I'm down there for a August, September, October, which is the rainy season in West Texas, if I have 4 IBC totes at 300 gallons each, that's 1,200 gallons of water. That should be enough. If I need to, I can buy like a 1,500 gallon poly tank and get that set up on the property. But that's a year or two down the road, because I'm not going to have $2,000 or $3,000 to spend on a poly tank with all of the other stuff I need to buy first. There's a lot of basic tools that I need, and I'm hopefully going to find some of those at secondhand stores and such. But if not, I'm going to need a pitchfork and a shovel. And because the ground is probably hard, I'm probably going to need a power shovel, along with all the woodworking tools that I don't have. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to need first, so I may, 2 or 3 years into it, I may, expand from just meat chickens to actually having some livestock, depending on how the tiny house build goes and how long, if I feel like I can stay down there most of the year or all the year. We'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, I know about keeping animals safe. While I'm a rookie to living off grid out there, I'm not a rookie to any of the living off grid stuff. And I've been doing a lot. When I say I've been doing a lot of research, I mean, I've been doing a lot of research I don't know if you were here when I showed you the books I have, but I have books. I have an online course that I've signed up for that was dirt cheap on dirt and cob and straw and mudslip house building. And I have another book that I bought from one of my favorite off-grid YouTubers, Frugal Off Grid. He's a guy in Arizona that got laid off from his job back in COVID and literally had almost nothing, took his life savings and bought a chunk of land and a few tools. He was already living in his van, so he moved out to the desert, and now he's 4 years into it and has a thriving homestead. John's a good guy. If you haven't checked out Frugal Off Grid, perhaps you should. When I move, I have a feeling I will be cramming my ducks in my van for the trip. So you're planning on taking the ducks with you. Excellent. Or you could just butcher them all and take a freezer full of meat with you. That's entirely up to you, of course. Let's see what we got here. He's not sure yet. They're just talking back and forth. And has good pastures. If you want to come out to West Texas, Rick, we can build good pasture eventually. And we can eventually get some rain. And I've got 10 acres. It's hard to visualize 10 acres, but in a square, that's more than 2. If it's square, which this land is very close to square, that's more than 2 football fields plus the end zones on a side. That's a lot of space. And John says, hearing you talk about all your plans and all the physical work you're going to do is really amazing from the first few videos you did. Yes. And, a year ago, I wouldn't have even dreamed of it. My dreams of living off grid and doing some of the other stuff like hiking the Appalachian Trail were completely out of reach even 10, 15 years ago. And now I feel like they're back in reach. So we'll see what happens. I may get out there and discover that I can't do any of that stuff, and I may have to pay somebody to come build stuff for me. We'll see what happens. Bob, after reading all these comments, it appears you might be the only carnivore that does not like sardines. Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one. Perhaps those that are here today are the only ones. I might be the only one here in this chat today, but if you look around YouTube, you will see many people that do not like sardines. See, right there is one. Addicted to antlers. No, I don't like sardines. Sardines are nicer than tinned tuna for me. And see, I like tuna. I actually really like tinned tuna. And I don't like canned fish. Use the air fryer to cook steaks or cook them on the grill outside. Has anyone else used their engine for cooking? I did back in the day. Back when I was an over-the-road truck driver. Oh, yeah. I knew how to do that. Get yourself one of the metal lunch boxes. And, yeah, I've done that. Let's see here. I just know how it is living in the desert. Yes, you do, because you're kind of across the border over. Aren't you in New Mexico? Addicted to antlers? Aren't you just sort of across the border? And I've cooked a lot of lunches on my engines over the year. Yes, indeed. And that's Jason talking to cook hot dogs while off-roading my Jeep. And we're working on our off-grid place. It's been a process. It's getting close. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. You can irrigate your property in West Texas when you can have a well drilled. And I don't know. I know I haven't investigated having a well drilled there yet, what the water tables are like. I know at the land that I was looking at in Arizona and the land I was looking at in Nevada were both in spots where the success rate for drilling down was very low, unless you were ready to spend thousands of dollars going super deep. So I don't know that I will actually ever have thousands of dollars. And if I can get, if I build, like I said, a 20 by 40 roof to build all my other structures under, and then also put rain gutters, build a rack to put solar panels on and put a rain gutter on that, and maybe build a shed or I'd like to get a shipping container and build a roof over the shipping container and throw that on there. That would give me roughly, between all those structures, about 50 by 100 roof space to harvest from. And in one of the people I've been watching, they have now, granted theirs is even bigger yet, they have a 40 by 120, I believe their roof is. But they get roughly 1,500 gallons of water for every inch of rain. And if you're in the area that gets an average of, just say, 10 inches of rain to make the math easier, that's what, 15,000 gallons of water a year off of that size roof? That ought to be enough. But we'll see. And if I have to get a couple of poly tanks and have it shipped in, there's a place just down the road from me that advertises where I can go get water for 8 cents a gallon if I need to stock up. So I'm not super worried about water at this point. And I'll just have to see how things progress as I move forward with the projects. I know how it is. I have 5 acres near Lake Okeechobee. Christopher Ellis is here. A van load of ducks. Huey, Dewey, Louie, April, May, and June. How you doing today, Christopher? You should move there to where your 5 acres is, Rick. Yep. Doesn't like sardines. John, hi, Bob. Finally made it to live. I'm glad you did. I hope you're having a great day, John. Saving sardines for the apocalypse. Yes, indeed. Yeah, Las Cruces, New Mexico. And oh yes, having well drilled is a lot of money. One reason it's taken a while for us to get our high desert mountain property finished. I understand completely. It's a lot of money to drill a well. Rainwater, area of roof, depth times depth of rain, all down pipes and into the tank. Wells are for desperate times. I can totally agree with that. And let's see here. Yeah, well, you live in Florida. You know, the entire state of Florida is sort of underneath the water table. It's always flooded in Florida. You don't have to, you can probably dig down with a shovel and call it a well, right? See what else are we going to talk to? Oh, yeah. I don't know if anybody in here is going, but for those of you that are seeing this, either in replay or whatever, got a bunch of people going off on the low carb cruise starting this weekend. I hope you all have a great time. And since many of our favorite creators are going to be on the low carb cruise, I expect that their channels are going to be a little light on content for the next few days. Well, the next week, actually, because it's a 10-day cruise, I think. So I am planning on hopefully getting things out on my normal daily schedule. I've got an interview with Chris Bear, the owner of Keto Chow, coming up. That will probably release on Sunday or Monday. I haven't decided exactly when, but I'm hoping to get out to the park and get an actual hiking video in this week. Got a lot of stuff coming up. Got some more ideas for cooking videos and a few other surprises along the way. So we will see how it goes. But I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. And those of you that are going on the cruise, I hope you have a great time. Yeah, I did that one already. I don't like them either. Yuck. See, Craig, I'm sorry, but you're not in a majority here. I think the don't like sardines crowd has it, or it's very, very close. But we do have a few minutes left, so if you have a question or comment, be sure and get those in now. If you haven't hit the like button yet, don't forget to hit the like. I'm sure all of you are subscribed. In fact, I know all of you are subscribed that are leaving comments because I have it set up that you have to be subscribed to the channel to put a comment in. That keeps the trollers that like to just come in and make nasty comments to anybody that's live streaming. It doesn't even matter what the subject is. They just look for live streams to jump in and say rude stuff. Number one, they can't do it. They're not interested in subscribing to the channels. They try to interrupt. And if any of those comments actually happen, they get caught by my very strict comment filter as well. So hopefully we don't ever have any of that here. We had one once about 5 lives ago, and one of my moderators, who's not here right now because it's way too early in the day for her, squashed them right out. That worked out really good. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, for those that, just in case you missed it earlier or you're just tuning in late and you happen to be listening, Tina the Cook. Tina the Cook is the one I did the, get my email address up there again. I did the drawing for my 5K giveaway. I was trying to film it. I'm not sure what I did wrong, but it's, I didn't catch it on film, but the random comment picker picked out somebody called Tina the Cook. You've won a bottle of Keto Chow Daily Minerals. So I'm going to give you to the live stream next week. And if I have not received an email from you at the below address, here it comes. There it goes. SemiRetiredBob@yahoo.com. Send me an email with your shipping information, and I'll get that sent out to you. If I have not heard from Tina the Cook by this time next week, I'll do a new random pick off that video comments, and we'll pick a new winner and try again. Low carb cruise. Yep. And for those in case you're tuning in late, Jamie E sent me a gift. Do this again here. It's a solar panel combiner so that I can run 4 panels into 2 inputs. So that will help out quite a bit when I get down to Texas. I'll leave that one up there. Let's see here what we got here. Oh, Super Chat. I think that's what that is. Ron, $10. Well, thank you, Christopher. I believe that's what that is. Yes, if that's a Super Chat. Thank you very much. Bob, your filters, my sardine comments seem to make it through. You know, I have actually thought about adding a sardine blocker just for a day or two, just to see how you react to it. Christopher Ellis, it doesn't rain here enough to catch and keep and make sure rainwater is sanitary, so everyone around here has to depend on wells. Ours is solar, of course. Yeah, and I have several good water filters. Of course, the water I'm going to drink, I'm going to run through a filter. Actually, I have a couple of different filters. What did I miss here? No, I didn't miss anything. But again, thank you very much, Christopher. I appreciate that a lot. Lowell Craig, yeah, laughing at Craig. And we've got Crafty and Carnivore is here. Hello, Hyla, how are you today? I'm glad you're here. She's watching ads. Feel free to come on in. You can skip the ads if you want to, Hyla. Just come on in and have fun. Australia does not have that problem. Wells are for inland livestock. Rain collection is legal and promoted. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why one of the many reasons why I ended up settling on Texas. Arizona's not so bad, but Nevada actually has some really strange water laws. You can rain harvest in Nevada, but only up to a certain point. And then you don't own the water anymore. I'm not exactly sure how it works. I looked at it and said, you know, I don't want to deal with all that. I'm just going to not buy in Nevada. And that's where I'm at. Now I'm now in West Texas. I can stop looking at other land. And Drop Zone, keep up the good work, Bob. I appreciate your content. And you give us old guys hope. I'm glad you're here, and thank you so much for the $10. You have no idea how much that means. Thank you so much. Doctors Ken Berry, Chaffee, and others had a great 4-episode series on Monday. Yes, for those of you that have not seen the Reversed, it's a series with many people in it that you've probably seen. They went down to, what was that tropical country? It just blew off the top of my head. But anyway, they were down there in the tropics and spent a week or two filming this thing with other people. It's actually the 2nd or 3rd season of it, but this is the first one that's been well designed and well released. It's well worth watching. It's on Dr. Berry's channel and many others if you have not seen Reversed. Unable to stick around, but wanted to say hi, Bob, and hi to all my fellow Proper Human Diet friends. Hello, Linda. I'm glad you're here. RON is about 2. Okay, that's what that is. I don't know where that's from, but hey, $2 is $2, man. Thank you very much. So that's the RON is the name of the currency. Okay, I get it now. But thank you very much. I really appreciate that a lot. I really do. Bob, you need a YouTube fishy filter. Yes, indeed, Don. One other quick thing I want to show you. I don't know how much you guys follow Professor K and Jonathan, his bodybuilder guy that's on his channel a lot. But I did want to show you, just to try them, I got these blue blocking glasses for after dark, because you're supposed to block the blue light after the sun goes down. They just came in yesterday. I just put them on for the first time last night. I did not notice a difference in my sleep, but I will keep you posted as to whether or not I notice any difference after I've been using them for a week or so. They are supposed to help with sleep, keeping the blue light out of your eyes after dark. I don't know the science behind it. If you want to know the science behind it, go look at Professor K's channel. He mentions blue blocking filters in several of his videos. Julie, hello, Bob. Found you because of Dr. Barry Tribe. Good to see you doing well on the tube. Hello to you too, Julie. And as a quick reminder for those of you that have joined us late, when I look this way, I'm not actually looking away. I am looking away from the camera, but I'm not ignoring you. I have a much bigger monitor over here that I look at to read comments, because they're bigger. I can see them as opposed on the tiny laptop screen. And that's just the way I have things set up now. I'm hoping to fix that at some point. But for right now, this is the way it is set up. I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking over at the screen so that I can read the comments better. She's doing pretty good. Watched one and skipped the second. Okay. And hello from our casa in northern Michigan. When you say northern Michigan, are you on the Upper Peninsula or just the upper section of the lower part? Crafty and Carnivore says cooking bacon, then probably some eggs. OMAD today. Yeah, because it's a work day, I already had some hamburger patties. I have to leave the house here about a half hour after this live stream ends. So we shall see how it goes. And Jason just saying hi to people. Costa Rica, that's it. Thanks, John. Yes, they filmed that down in Costa Rica. And it's a good series. I mean, they're Dr. Chafee, Dr. Barry, Kelly Hogan is there, Steak and Butter Gal is there. I believe Dr. Ovadia is there. And some others that I can't remember right off the top of my head. Katie, just subscribe and watch your videos for a while. I'm from Texas. Would love to have you here. Well, I'm on my way. Don't know exactly when, but I am on my way to Texas at some point. I'm committed to being here in Omaha through the summer, and we'll see how it goes from there. Hey, we're up to almost 50 people in here. That's not too bad. I may have to continue with this time slot because I can't do it in the old time slot because I have to work on Fridays for the rest of the summer, which is why I'm not going to Texas right now. Besides, it's brutally hot down there this time of year. And I'm not going to start off in the middle of summer down there because I want to go down in the fall so that I have decent weather to do some of the initial building projects in, rather than standing out there in the 100-degree heat trying to build myself some shade to stand in. Proper human diet all the way. Costa Rica or the rich coast. Northern lower. Okay. Oops. Craig has a question. Bob, I got in a little late. Did you discuss the results of your second loaf of bread? Is sardine bread in your future? First of all, sardine bread is not in my future. I made a little mistake on the second loaf. It was okay. It was not good. I cooked the beef better. I drained it better. I did everything better, but somehow I must have messed up on the baking soda. I'm not sure what I did wrong, but I must have got too much baking soda in it because it basically ended up tasting like baking soda. And that's a really nasty taste. I ate about half of it, threw the other half away, and cooked myself up some eggs. I didn't even show pictures of it. It came out quite a bit darker because I cooked the beef longer. So we'll see. But yeah, that's what happened with that second loaf of bread. It did not turn out exactly right. But I have some ideas for the future. There's a laughing face there. Have to take the dogs outside. If you're not still on when I come back inside, have a great day. You too. Yes, don't start in the summer. Yeah, see, that's where we're at. Aaliyah's here. For those of you that haven't seen, I did an interview on her channel. She's a fairly new YouTube channel. You should go check her out. She's down in Columbia, I believe. Not Columbia, South Carolina, Columbia, the country. I believe she's actually right in Bogota, but I could be wrong about that. But she's in Columbia, so you could go check out her channel. KD agrees with me, brutally hot. Yes. Now, I've been looking at the trends, and the Van Horn area of Texas doesn't get quite as hot as some of the other spots do, but it also gets a little colder in the winter. So I'm expecting, it averages 2 whole days a year of having snow on the ground. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Snow on the ground for 2 days, I can handle. Here in Nebraska, where it's, below zero for a month at a time, no, I'm not really into that anymore. You could brush your teeth with the rest of the bread. Yeah, well, I brush my teeth a lot, but I'm not the baking soda was just terrible. The bread turned out bad. Yes, it does. It says baking soda. I double checked it. I may try some baking powder at some point. I don't have baking powder in the house right now. I may get some next time I get some groceries. But that's what the recipe says. And, I watched a ketogenic woman make it a couple of times, and she used baking soda. So we'll see. That's one of the things I'm planning on trying, as well as, hey, for those of you that have been interested in trying the Carnivore Crisp beef flour, it's still expensive if you buy it in the jars, and it's like $32 for 6 ounces on Amazon. But if you go directly to their website, you can get a 6-ounce bag of it for $25. So that's still a little expensive, but considering how much I would get from buying a $15 roast, I may actually order some of that beef flour from Carnivore Crisp just to try it out before I start the whole process of making my own beef flour. I'll keep you posted as that progresses as well. Okay. However you say that name of where she is, she's in something Colombia, South America. But she was recently in Bogota. Okay. So if anybody wants to know where that is, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it, but you have Google Maps just like I do. Enter it in and find out where she's at. And we've got, Franny is here. I ate at Texas Roadhouse today for lunch. Pretty good. Yes, we have Texas Roadhouse here. It's not terrible. I actually kind of like the food. My problem with Texas Roadhouse has nothing to do with the food or anything else. The way they build those things and, singing happy birthday to people, I don't mind that, but they always have something going on, and it may be just the acoustics of the building, but we have 4 of them in Omaha. I've tried all 4 of them. All 4 of the buildings are exactly the same, and they all have the acoustics that by the time I'm done in there, even if I'm only in there for 45 minutes or so, I leave with a pounding headache. It's just too loud in their buildings. Of course, none of this was before I started Carnivore. This was back in the day when I was eating out at Texas Roadhouse because I just liked steakhouses. And steaks, for those that are not familiar, going to a steakhouse, even a chain like Texas Roadhouse or Outback, is significantly cheaper in Omaha, Nebraska than it is anywhere else. I just received my first order from Carnivore Crisp. Looking forward to trying it. Julie says, when you said tastes like baking soda, all I could think of was when we brushed our teeth with baking soda. Yeah, I did that too. Yes, they are. And I may swing back down that way. We'll have to see how it goes. I like all my friends down there. I'm going to miss all my friends down there, but I can't really spend the rest of my life spending winters on a church parking lot. That's not a long-term sustainable solution. And I've always wanted to have my own land. I know Texas is a long way from North Carolina, but moving away from friends is not as hard now as it was when I moved out here to Omaha back in 1990. Because back in 1990, nobody had internet. Most people didn't even know what the internet was back in 1990. The only way to keep track of people was to write letters, with this thing called paper. I know it's a foreign concept to many of you today, but, we actually had pencils and paper, and we would write notes and letters to each other. I know, shocking concept, isn't it? But that's one of those things that you at some point you have to move forward, and part of my moving forward is getting my own chunk of land and getting my off-grid project started. Because yes, I feel great, but the reality is I am now 60 years old. If I wait any longer, by the time I get everything done, I'll be beyond 70. And who knows? Yes, I could still just drop over tomorrow. That could happen. I don't think it will. I feel pretty good. In fact, I feel better than I have in probably 25 years or more. But maybe even 40 years. I don't know that I've felt this good since I got out of the Army. But yeah, I am going to miss my friends in North Carolina, and hopefully I'll get down there for a visit once in a while. But the long-term sustainability of living in the church parking lot for 6 months out of the year just is not a long-term sustainable solution. See, Addicted Antlers agrees with me. They are very noisy. Let's see here. Oh, must be a fellow RVer. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. Any carnivore heroes that live in Illinois? I feel like we do not have many in the Midwest, but I may be wrong. We need to spread carnivore message across the whole U.S. and the rest of the world. Eat meat. Yeah, I don't know who all's in Illinois. I know there's a lot of them in Indiana, just next to you. And there's a lot of them in Iowa, just the other way. But I don't know a lot of people that live in Illinois. Seen a lot of changes in our lifetime, haven't we, Bob? I'll be 60 in December. Oh, yes. I don't know that I've actually told this story before, but for those of you that don't know, to put it in perspective, when I was in high school, the only computer in our high school was a Radio Shack TSR 80 Model 1 that didn't actually work right. And it belonged to one of the math teachers, and he brought it in on Fridays and let his advanced math class play with it a little bit, and he taught us a little basic programming. This was back in the day when, you would get a cassette tape, a cassette recorder, and a blank cassette is what you would back your programs up on magnetic tape, because all of the old computers back then had places to hook up just a regular old tape recorder to use as a backup drive. And I saw a picture the other day it was a guy teaching a class, and he had this big disc that was about half the size of his body. He was holding it with his arms stretched way out. And he was explaining to the class that that was an old hard drive out of a computer that held not 10 gigabytes, it was a 10 megabyte hard drive. You know, and what does my phone now have? I forget exactly, like 238 gigabytes of storage. You know, there's more storage in my phone than the entire state of Ohio had in 1980, amongst all of their computers, between Ohio State, Ohio University, and the state of Ohio, and Cleveland State, and everything. My phone has more storage than the entire state of Ohio had then. It's just amazing how fast technology has changed. So yes, Addicted Antlers, we have seen a lot in our lifetime. It is soda. Mine turned out good, Bob. I made my own beef flour. Okay, and I made my own beef flour and got almost a full quart from the 4-pound top round roast I got on sale. I made the bread. It was okay, though not something I would eat all the time. Okay. And see, there you go. She's from Illinois originally. She lives down in Columbia now, but she's originally from Illinois. So there you go. There's an Illinois carnivore for you. Originally from Chicago. We were talking about reviewing carnivore crisps. Yeah. I'm never going to review carnivore crisps because the actual carnivore crisps, the snacks, are expensive. The flour is still expensive, but I think, $25 for enough to make 5 or 6 dishes, that's getting down into the realm of something I could probably do. Oh, we've gone over an hour here. Let me fly through some of these last comments here. Even here in Texas, people think I'm strange when I tell them that I eat mostly meat. And Craig says, I can't go to Texas Roadhouse anymore. My previous routine involves 2 baskets of rolls, a bucket of peanuts, and a load of sweet potatoes. Those were the good old days. Or you could call them the bad old days, depending on how you look at it. I'm 29, but remember borrowing computer games saved on floppy disks. I'm an electrical engineer. I did see the collapse of Radio Shack. I used many parts from them in senior design class. Yeah, and a friend of mine actually owned a Radio Shack store right out of high school down in a place called MacArthur, Ohio, which was in Vinton County. And I bought plenty of things off of his parts board back in the day because I was a radio amateur operator back in those days. Amateur radio operator. Enjoyed the live, everyone. And yes, Platte River Keto made it just in time to say hello, friends. I'm glad you're here, Scott. Everybody agree with Christopher. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Good night from him in Romania, RO. And I am happy that you were here. I'm glad everybody made it today. That's what I've got for you today. It's time for me to go because I have to work here shortly. But I hope you all had a great week and you enjoyed the live stream. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.